Welcome to Women's World. In tonight's edition, we bring you the second part of the 2016 PNG Women's Forum. We have more from the Women in Parliament panel, the participants of the forum, and a special on Sava PNG's Jennifer Baing-Waiko. First, here are the highlights of the Women in Parliament panel. The Secretary for the Department of Religion, Youth and Community Development, Anna Solomon, moderated the panel, which consisted of 2 of the 3 current female leaders in the National Parliament, Minister for Religion, Youth and Community, Delilah Gore, and the Governor for the Eastern Highlands Province, Julie Soso. Take a look.
I think it's important that with the 2017 election coming up, it's important to hear from our women in Parliament. So that's why we have this special session. But let me take you not a few years back, many years back, when Dame Josephine Balja stood for election and they had to count her ballot box, they had to count it 3 times. Just to confirm that a woman actually won. And then you have Dame Carol Kidu. And I was just wondering, how did we vote a white woman in? What strategy did she use? And then we had, who was this Delilah Gore? Sorry, I'm calling her name. That was the time we were saying, who is this Delilah Gore? She led from the beginning, from first count to last count. And so we need to hear her story. How did she do that? Before I became a politician, I worked with Department of Finance, and where I worked, I saw a lot of money for the people passing through Treasury. That's the office where we usually pay services delivered. And it was in 2002, I decided that I felt that my people from my electorate were missing out in a lot of basic services. And so I decided that, if I can work in this office and see people's money passing through, why can't I try to be a leader so I can save people, my people? The strategy I used was, I had big tribe that covered the whole electorate. And when I touched my family and told them that I was coming for election, I had support from the entire electorate. And that's the strategy I used, and I had good support, and as a result, you saw how I led. They asked me, they asked me, the male candidates would ask me, what's your platform? So I would just get up and tell them, look at me, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, and that's my platform. But really speaking from my honest experience, men can be men, but they cannot be women. Because we women, we make the home strong. We are the ones cooking and feeding them. We are the ones making sure that their clothes are clean, the house is clean, the visitors are fed. And many of us underestimate ourselves and our God-given talent that we are women and we make the home warm. And we are not using that God-given free gift of being a woman. Many of us are not using that properly. That's why we are saying, I'm going into being a politician, but I have tried and I did not win. I'm sure this governor sitting down, she used that woman's strategy too. Being a woman, I think she used many of that made her to be where she is. I used that properly. To have a female governor, how did all of Goroka coming to support this one woman. I'm proud that being a broadcaster, I was a broadcaster working with Radio Eastern Highlands for 15 years. And from 1980 all the way to 1996, after my fellow leave, I wanted to come out of my career job as a radio announcer, and then I joined the Women's Council. I didn't dream of being a women's leader, but in the forum of the Women's Council in Eastern Highlands Province, the women from 8 districts in Eastern Highlands came and voted me the president for Eastern Highlands Provincial Council of Women. So I became the Eastern Highlands Provincial Council of Women president in October 1996, and that's where my political education began. But to become a politician, it already started with my family. My father wanted me to be a boy, and he wanted me to be a leader, to take after him. He is one of the paramount leaders of Goroka Gauku clan, and he wanted to always for me to take after him, so he did everything, and I wanted to make him proud. So I had to continue to school again after I gave birth to my daughter. I continued schooling again and finished my grade 12. After grade 12, that's still with NBC. So after finishing with NBC and joining the Women's Council, we were inspired. We were encouraged to continue in that leadership, to challenge, not to challenge our men, but to take our position in the decision-making level. So Eastern Highlands, there's about 8 districts, and I have more than 600,000 people out there, 400,000 other voters out there. And I contested the Eastern Highlands regional seat starting 1997, 2002 again, 2007 again. I did not give up because I know there's a dream inside me, and I know that calling is deep within me, and I know one day I'll achieve that calling. I'll achieve what is deep in my heart. So I continued in 4 consecutive elections, and 1997 I made it home. But I'm thankful that the women leaders who fought for women's rights and women to get there, they were the others who inspired me. My father was my mentor, and at the same time I always had a dream that one time I'll make my father proud by being in Parliament. That's how, just to make my father proud and to make the women of Papua New Guinea get there, I did it.
When we return after the break, we bring you more from the participants who flew into Port Moresby to attend the PNG Women's Forum. Welcome back to Women's World. Successful applicants were selected to attend the PNG Women's Forum this year and were flown to Port Moresby from their respective provinces by the forum host, the US Embassy. Up next, Women's World shares some of their stories.
For me, my aim of attending this forum, one, it's the first time I'm attending this forum and I want to know what it contains. Two, it's to do with women. If there's anything that I can learn from this forum to tell the women back in the province.
My participation in the forum, just looking back, I can say I can see a great leap that the nation or the women of the nation have achieved. Just seeing the moderators to the panelists, and they are young and old women here, but how they have contributed to the success.
The theme of this meeting is a very challenging theme, And the theme of this meeting is women empowering women. Our success is my success, and you must work boom one them in making this team a successful thing to the women.
Me come Legisla Forum important because me man me masana posem champion. Me come attending the forum and Bami must go back in the message that Bami carry go back and I give him no online law community, even my peer groups. Bami talking about ways where me plug in sana posem real men. Lo combat him this la passing do. Fighting marry or violence against or marry na kill child or beginning marry too.
Well, I feel for this forum and how it's different is it's come from a very rural-based approach. I feel the panels have more people from the provinces who are actually on the ground working, you know, people like Ruth Kissam and Anton Lutz who are actually on the ground working with women, rescuing women.
I think it's very important because not a lot of Papua New Guineans see the importance of empowering Papua New Guinean women because like from what we learned, women are the backbone of the country. If they can't be empowered, if they can't be educated in a way, it doesn't help the whole country as a whole.
I came from Divine Word, so definitely I'm going back there to be an advocate and to share the knowledge and the challenges and the experiences from here. I take them with me back and give back to the female community back in Divine Word.
Coming to this forum, I've learned a lot, especially I said to myself and my colleagues, when I go back to PAU, I would encourage more girls to take up leadership responsibilities. And the other thing that I was just discussing with Jennifer Baing-Waiko is I would go back to my place after graduating from PAU to help my people out there because there were associations created in the village to help farmers, local farmers, with their local produce to find markets. But unfortunately, they didn't eventuate because there were some differences and some things that they didn't know how to do it. So I feel that I have a responsibility now to go back and to help them.
To contribute towards their mentoring as a mentor, because that's what I also love doing in the district. I love to mentor young people, and in fact I encourage young officers in my district to progress up.
Penny, I taught her in accounting in our training institution, and Penny now she's an entrepreneur and she's a woman advocate as well, and she is my mentee and I am a mentor. And I want to become a good role model in this nation, and I would like Penny to take the footsteps of the powerful women leaders who have attended this forum and the sessions that we have learned. Even though we are doing something in the community, but we want to go and do more for our community.
The advocating and lobbying will continue for young women to participate in decision making at all levels.
We're going to just start off by opening an account and putting whatever we can every fortnight into that account. And over the Christmas holidays and next year, we hope that we can pay for somebody's, a girl from our region, from our province. We hope that we can have enough to pay for 2 or 3 girls their tuition fees for tertiary education at a university or a vocational school.
Don't go away. When we return, we bring you Sava PNG's Jennifer Baing-Waiko, who talks about family, women's empowerment, health and politics. Women's World caught up with the very passionate Sava PNG director, Jennifer Baing-Waiko, also known as a Paomeri, and rightly so. Jennifer shares her knowledge and experience on eating organic food, being empowered, education, and her plans for her province and Papua New Guinea.
I run an organisation with my husband, Baing-Waiko, called Save PNG or Save PNG. And basically it's a media education organisation where we've been working to use media to help educate people. With Papua New Guinea, what we really wanted to highlight was that Papua New Guinea had been getting, and still gets, a lot of negative press globally, and what we really wanted was to show a positive face of Papua New Guinea, and food was really that window where we could, go into the communities and speak to the locals and see and get a sense and a feeling of what it really is like out there in the real Papua New Guinea, because some of these stories tend to come from places where, it might not be a realistic situation in Papua New Guinea, and 80% of our population lives out in the rural area, and we really wanted to showcase the beauty of our people, the beauty of our country, scenically, such a beautiful place, and the food as well. We've got such diverse food. I think quite often when we get caught up in this whole development issue, we forget that there's a skill that Papua New Guineans still have, and that's agriculture. One of the problems is that our current education system, it's set up in a way where we're completely removing our children from the gardens. And so they're spending like a whole day in school, and they're not, going out to the gardens and learning from their mothers and their fathers, how to plant a banana, when to plant it, how do you wrap a banana, how do you know when to harvest it. 70% of the deaths that are caused in the Pacific are due to non-communicable diseases. So that's cancer, heart disease, diabetes. So there's a whole new range of diseases that are popping up purely due to the sorts of foods that we're eating. And if you look, it's just very recent that we've switched over from having a more traditional homegrown diet to having this, fast-paced, highly refined diet. And this highly refined diet is really causing a lot of health problems, like the white rice and the white breads and, high salted foods, and a high meat diet as well. When you're not eating foods that are high in antioxidants, like our local fruits and vegetables, then your body's really weakened. It's got no antioxidants to fight any sort of disease or cancer-causing agents in your body. So you really need to make sure that you're really eating a lot of those local foods to protect yourself from these diseases. So mothers that are pregnant, and even mothers before they're pregnant, women who are thinking about getting pregnant, should be ensuring that they're eating the right sorts of foods, because we really need to feed our genes with the right sort of minerals and vitamins to be able to make sure that they're healthy to pass on. So before a woman even gets pregnant, she really needs to be eating properly. She needs to eat lots of greens to make sure that she's got a lot of iron in her blood. She needs to eat lots of nuts and lots of fruits and, really healthy foods. Good taro, sweet potatoes, really high, if it's yellow, in vitamin A, and keratin B, which are all really, really good, vitamins for the body. During pregnancy, women need to continue to have a really healthy diet, fresh coconut cream, not too much boiled, but more fresh, lots of fresh vegetables, fruits, like I said, and then continue on when you're breastfeeding, because whatever you're eating, is producing that breast milk. And especially for mothers, they really need to continue breastfeeding, at least up to 6 months, and then slowly supplementing the children's food with, healthy organic food that comes from the garden as much as possible. So organic is something that you haven't used chemicals in. It's pure food, and you'll find that a lot of Papua New Guinean food is actually organic. Well, one thing that's really, really good for brain development in children is actually coconut milk. So coconut milk has this element in it called ketones, and these things, like, they actually energize the brain and give energy to the brain and feed the brain. So if you can give fresh coconut cream, or even just scrape some coconut and sprinkle it on the food for the kids, and they can eat that, that'll really energize their brain and feed their brain, so that when they're sitting in school they can really concentrate on what the teacher's saying. I think I just really wanted to share with the women and some of the men there that sometimes we tend to look at somebody else's success and think, everything is all fine and rosy, and, they're achieving things and I'm not getting anywhere. And I think I just really wanted to encourage Papua New Guineans that, whatever little achievements you're doing in your own area, just keep on going, keep on pushing, trying your best, because, it's the small things that, build up to the bigger things, to the larger achievements. And if we can all, as Papua New Guineans, strive and try our very best to do those small things, wherever we are, in whatever sphere of influence that we have, then, you're doing something to help. Yes, I believe that more women should be in Parliament. It's really important to understand that, a lot of women in the rural areas, they find it really difficult to approach, the politicians, the male politicians, and, quite a lot of the time they're the ones that are out in the gardens really, doing backbreaking work, and, they need to be able to have access to somebody who they can voice their concerns to and feel comfortable doing that. And, I think if we have more females in government, it gives more of a representation to, the other half of the population, which is basically not being heard at the moment in the Parliament. And that's where the decisions are being made, and that's where, development falls down from there, and that's where the planning takes place. From my own experiences, it's best that if you're working, say, in the cities and you want to go and stand in the elections, you need to go and spend time. You need to spend time with your people, you need to reconnect with your family, with your clan. And you don't think that you need to spend a lot of money as well to campaign. I know we didn't, spend a lot of money during the campaign. You need to get out there, you need to walk with the people, you need to talk with them, don't drive around in dark glass windows or whatever, go and speak to people and, show them that you understand their issues and tell them what your qualifications are and how you can help, and, take the chance, go ahead and do it, because, if it's in your heart, you never know what might happen. At the moment, I've got a very young family, so I've got a daughter who's now 7 months. And so we've decided as a family that my father's actually going to run in the 2017 elections. So, I view it as, development is something, it's teamwork. So we have to support each other. Whoever can get in and can do that job at that time. There needs to be people on the ground that can actually execute some of the policies that need to take place and some of the development that needs to take place on the ground in the district. So we decided that my father would run and I would support him, and he wants to support me in 2022. I really hope that by 2022 we've spent more of the budget in the rural area, say opening up roads, building roads. Doesn't have to be, the best road in the world, but it needs to be a road that a car can drive down, that people can bring their coffee, they can bring their cocoa, they can bring their produce to town. I want to see roads going into the rural areas, more electrification as well. Along the highway, Markham Valley, you'd think that we would have power, but, only half of the district has power. So I'd like to see that power goes to some of these rural areas, and that some of these places where, it's just so hard to reach, even footbridges that people can get out their produce with and, can come out to the main road and go and sell their food, or, even go and get health treatment. These are some of the things that we've really, I think, not really focused on as a nation, infrastructure development. So these are some of the things that I'd like to see happen. In relation to women, I really hope that by 2022 there are more women in Parliament, or more women even, as councillors or presidents, wherever it may be. We need to get more women into Parliament. I'd just like to encourage women that, perhaps they shouldn't just be looking at this forum here, that, and maybe even some of the government departments or other donor organisations could organise smaller women's forums out in the rural area, because Port Moresby is very, it's quite an expensive place to come to from the rural perspective, and I'd like to see that perhaps, shifting it more out to some of the more rural centres, that'd be really great, and maybe even having some of the messages that are being shared here, being able to be shared with the women in the rural area, because quite a lot of the discussions have been based around entrepreneurship and some of these things where, somebody at the grassroots level might not understand these, and maybe tailoring it a little bit more to, grassroots issues like, how to save your money and, financial literacy, and, where can you go to get help for certain issues, when you got, violence against women, what are your options? Because a lot of these things are happening in the rural area where women, they just don't even have anyone they can reach out to.
That's it from us tonight on Women's World. It has been an absolute pleasure. If you'd like to catch up on any of our episodes, be sure to check our website www.emtv.com.pg. And if you'd like to share any stories of development and/or other empowering news in your area, send us a message on Facebook. Search Women's World MTV. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your viewing on your #1 to watch, MTV.